All right.
Good evening and welcome to the University of Southern Indiana's Orientation Zoom series. We're thrilled that you're with us this evening to learn more about processes and procedures for the campus for this fall. My name is Carmen Stone. I'm the Director of Student Development Programs, and myself and John Race, who's also with us, coordinate orientation and these programs for you. We have a lot of people with us tonight to help present some information about college finance, and this is the fifth in our topics that we're covering. We have 8 weeks total, so please stay tuned for some of the other ones coming up. We are recording this, so if you have other people who want to see it afterwards, we will make it available on our website shortly after we get it recorded and closed captioned. We do ask that while you're in the session, if you can stay muted, that would be great. Feel free to turn on your cameras though, so we can see your lovely faces. We do ask that you put your questions that you have down in the chat feature. The structure for tonight's program is we're going to spend about 30 minutes presenting content on college finance, and then we're going to open up for questions. So feel free to start asking those questions as you have them. I will keep track of where we're at with questions, and then when we get done with the presentation, we'll start asking those questions and getting responses for you. So let me start by introducing those that are with us, and I'm going to have them say hi so their screen pops up and you can find them on that. So first we have Caleb Fendrick, who's a senior counselor in the Student Financial Assistance Office. Caleb.
Hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, wait, you're on mute. Don't answer, but I hope you're all doing well tonight.
Emily Henson, who's Bursar.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Dr. Sean Roby with Student Financial Success Center.
Good evening.
And we have some of our amigos, orientation leaders, their current USI staff who's with us tonight as well. Toby Clark and Mike Dirkholz.
Hello.
And then Marina Blackwell's with us as well. She's a student assistant for orientation as well. So if you have questions for a student, we do have those students with us who can answer those questions in terms of from a student perspective on things on campus. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Caleb to get us started this evening. And I do believe he's going to share his screen with you. So you have some visuals about student financial assistance. Feel free to take pictures of that if you're not on your phone so that you can keep that with you if you want. But again, like I said, it will be recorded. Caleb?
Okay, let me get my screen shared here. Let's see, I want this one. There we go. Okay, well, welcome everyone to our college finance Zoom meeting. We're glad you're all here. Like Carmen said, my name is Caleb Fendrick, and I'm in the financial aid office. So I'm going to be addressing the financial aid part of all of this. This keeps popping down. Sorry, before we get started, is that screen that's popping down with the waiting room, is that blocking the slides or no? We're good. Okay, we'll just soldier on here then, and you guys can see the slides. And as Carmen mentioned, this is being recorded, so you can go back to reference them later, or if you want to snag a picture of them, you can do that too. This is going to be a financial aid overview. So I'm going to be kind of in this presentation part of it going a little bit higher level. But we will have, as Carmen mentioned, we'll have questions at the end. So as I go over each of these items, loans, gift aid, checking for outstanding documents, that kind of stuff, if you have questions, go ahead and submit them in the chat feature. And then that way, your question will already be out there and we can address it when we get to the Q&A portion. So this first part is going to be a little bit more overview oriented to hopefully prompt some good questions out of you guys, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the guide to financial aid. So in order to put together your financial aid package, USI requires two things really. One, that you be admitted to the university, which I believe everyone on here would be admitted to the university. And then second, to file the 2021 FAFSA. So hopefully you've done that as well. If you haven't filed the FAFSA yet, you can still do that. We're past the state of Indiana's deadline to file the FAFSA, but we're still within the allowable timeframe to file the FAFSA for federal aid options. And then the financial aid office uses the information from the admissions process, the application process for admission, and the FAFSA to put together your financial aid package. And remember, if you haven't filled out your FAFSA yet, that not all federal aid options and not all institutional options are needs specific. So if you're out there tonight on the other side of this webcam thinking, I don't need to file the FAFSA, we won't qualify for anything anyway because of our family income or what have you, that may or may not be true. There may be other pieces of the financial aid process that you do qualify for, even if you don't qualify for need-based assistance. So it's free to fill out. It's easy to fill out. It doesn't take long, and it could result in additional funding. Okay, so we'll just cover the FAFSA really briefly. And like I said, this is going to be kind of more an overview, and then we'll get into some more of the specifics. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and it's made available starting October 1st of every year. The FAFSA is a document that you have to file every year for your financial aid eligibility. Your student has to file every year, and you can do so on or after October 1st. So on October 1st of 2020, coming up here in, not very long, a couple of months, 3 months, you'll be able to file the FAFSA for the fall of 21 and the spring of 22. So it seems weird that we're already talking about that far in advance, but that is when the FAFSA becomes available, starting October 1st of each year. You can submit it right now for this upcoming year if you haven't already, and you should file the FAFSA really as early as possible every year to kind of maximize those financial aid opportunities. But if you haven't filled it out, like I said, make sure you do so. The easiest way to fill out the FAFSA is at fafsa.ed.gov online, or by using the My Student Aid app, which is the new application that the Department of Education is using now for mobile devices. So you can do that as well online at fafsa.gov or at using the My Student Aid app, which you can find on your mobile devices. So generally speaking, when advising on filling out the FAFSA, the best thing I can say is it's not a race. Don't feel like you need to rush through the FAFSA. Make sure you read each question carefully. And the information about your financial aid package is only as accurate when we put together your financial aid package. It's only as accurate as the information you give us, right? So make sure you're understanding each question. Out to the side on each question, there's a little question mark that you can hover over, and it'll give you, if you're not sure on a particular question, it can give you some help with that particular question. And then also I want to highlight one other thing on this slide, which is the data retrieval tool. We'll actually circle back to this in a minute when I talk about verification. But if you have not already filled out the FAFSA, then when you get to the tax and income portion of the FAFSA, you should use the data retrieval tool if possible. It pulls in your information to your FAFSA directly from the IRS, so parent tax and income records or student tax and income records, and it encrypts that data, puts it into the FAFSA. In fact, you won't even actually see the numbers from the tax transcript. It just says transferred from the IRS on the FAFSA, and so that's a secure way and eliminates any human error. You don't have to type in anything; it just pulls it in automatically. So that makes it a lot quicker for you. So I highly recommend using that tool. Okay, so once you've submitted your FAFSA and you've been admitted to the institution, you're going to be able to review your estimated awards and cost on your MyUSI account. So you can find this information by following the step-by-step instructions found on the on our webpage, the financial aid webpage, for students to log into their MyUSI and review their MyUSI account. I'll grab that link when we get to the Q&A portion and put that. We'll make sure we get that in the chat feature for you guys. The MyUSI account is the self-service app, I should say, in the MyUSI account is where students will find the financial aid module and all information related to their financial aid. You'll also see in that financial aid module and on our website the phrase cost of attendance budget. So remember, and I want to just define a couple of terms real quickly here, and you can see them on this slide here. There's a difference between the cost of attendance and direct cost at an institution. So probably now it's July, a lot of you are trying to figure out, okay, what is this actually going to cost me, right? So anytime you see direct cost or estimated direct cost, what we're talking about is the actual billed cost from USI. So things like tuition and fees, right? Or if your student is living on campus, housing and meal plan, those would be included in the direct cost. Anytime you see cost of attendance budget, it is taking into account extra costs that you should budget for, but that are not actually billed by the institution. So in that case, we're talking about things like personal expenses, travel costs, putting gas in the car, driving to and from school, books and supplies. Students can charge their books to their account via our bookstore, but they don't necessarily have to. And so those aren't considered direct cost. Okay. So anytime you see cost of attendance budget, it's going to be a little higher number. That's not what your actual bill is going to be. And you can see on this slide the estimated direct cost for in-state and out-of-state students that are going to be living on campus. That's what that total number is. There's a website there where you can see kind of a breakdown of all of the other components as well. Okay, so by taking your estimated cost, and Emily Henson's going to talk a little bit more about your bill so you can get your exact costs a little later on here. She's going to address that. But by taking your estimated direct costs and subtracting your financial aid, which you can find, I've got the link right here on this slide. I was talking about putting it in the chat. There it is. There, the usi.edu/financial-aid/forms/myusi, that first bulleted point there. That will give you instructions to check your MyUSI and find your aid, which you can then subtract from your estimated direct cost to get your estimated bill for the year. Okay. Now, once you've subtracted your once you've subtracted your financial aid, your actual financial aid from your estimated cost, now we've got the remaining amount that will be incumbent on the student and family to take care of. And so there are three main ways that students address remaining cost, which is personal savings. Obviously, you've been putting money back for college or whatever. College savings accounts. Emily's going to touch on those a little bit more. Money earned from working through our work-study program, earned from having a job, and then, of course, student loans. We'll go over student loans in a little more depth. Okay, so this is always the one that gets a little confusing, and I feel like we have a lot of questions about. So please feel free to ask questions in the chat feature here, and we'll go on into greater detail in the Q&A. But just to kind of touch on the different loan options, there are a number of different options as far as student loans go to help pay for college. And student loans can sound scary, but by taking the time to understand them, you might find that they're a great tool. I use student loans to finish my degree. And the key is having a plan on the front end and executing that plan on the back end. So understanding what you're borrowing and why you're borrowing it is critical. Every student who is eligible to file a FAFSA, regardless of unmet need, is granted access to the federal direct loan program. And your loan eligibility is determined by your grade level and your dependency status, which I'll go into here in just a second. You can also find your eligibility by reviewing your MyUSI account. So any grants and scholarships that you qualify for, whether they're merit-based or need-based, whatever, any grants or scholarships that you qualify for will automatically apply to your account. We're not going to, you don't have to log into your MyUSI account and accept them. They'll just go on your account automatically. But any loans that you're eligible for from your annual loan eligibility, the student will have to go into their MyUSI account and actually accept their loans and accept whatever portion of their loan they would want to utilize. And then as a first-time borrower, if you're a first-time freshman or if you're a transfer student who hasn't borrowed before, you also need to do, and you see this under the third small bullet point under the first large bullet point there, you need to complete entrance counseling and the master promissory note, which you do at studentaid.gov. The entrance counseling walks you through interest rates and repayment options, and then the master promissory note is your agreement to the terms of the loan. So you have to do that as well. Now, many students may find that in addition to their direct loans that they need additional loan options. There are alternative and private loans, which would be loans available through a local vendor, a bank or lending agency, or a national lending agency, Discover, Sallie Mae. There are any number of them. Our office can't make recommendations for private lenders, but we do have some tools on our website to help you shop for them. And then more frequently, we'll find that if additional loan funds are needed, the best option is for the family to use the Parent Plus Loan Program, which is a federal financing through the Department of Education that actually the parent applies for at studentaid.gov. So the parent would go to studentaid.gov and log in with the parent's FSA ID, which is what they would have used to sign the student's FAFSA, and then borrow what's needed to cover that remaining balance. Okay, so moving along here. These are the direct student loan annual limits. You'll see probably many of you will fall into that top left-hand box for dependent students that are first-year undergraduates. Your annual eligibility is limited to $5,500. That's $2,750 a semester. Emily will touch again on payments later on, so I don't want to steal her thunder and talk too much about this, but just know that that is the limit through the Student Direct Loan Program. So if you're planning on using loans to cover your costs and you're not eligible for other gift aid or that sort of thing, then your loans by themselves, if you're a dependent first-time student, are probably, the student's direct loan by itself is probably not enough to cover the full balance of tuition and fees. So be aware of that. It's not an unlimited program, and we want to help you find other options to help deal with the remainder of the balance. So these are the limits here. I'll just briefly say real quickly, subsidized and unsubsidized loans, we'll probably get into this more later, but subsidized loans, a portion of the student's $5,500 that they qualify for may be subsidized depending on need. And that means the subsidized portion of the loan will not accrue interest while the student is enrolled in school. So as long as the student is enrolled in at least a half-time status, neither loan, subsidized nor unsubsidized, will go into repayment, but the subsidized portion will not even accrue interest. Okay, so if you come away from this talk tonight, at least from my portion, with one thing, I would hope that it would be check your MyUSI account. This is the most important thing that we covered. There's so much information on the student's MyUSI account, and it's critical that that your student or students, that you familiarize yourself with the information that's on there, know how to get to it, and know what it means, how to interpret it. You can check your financial aid awards on your MyUSI. Critically, and I just want to mention this here, you can check to see if you have outstanding documents. So probably a number of you have filed the FAFSA already. Some of those FAFSAs, when you file the FAFSA, 30% of students every year are selected for a process called verification, which is essentially an audit of your FAFSA. It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong if you were selected for verification. It just means that your file was selected for verification, so we have to audit it. And there will be additional documentation that we'll need to get in, verification worksheet, tax forms, sometimes W-2s, that kind of stuff. You can check those outstanding documents on your MyUSI account. And this is critical. If you have outstanding documents and you've not completed the verification process, we cannot disperse your federal and state financial aid. So if you're eligible for federal Pell Grant, you're going to be using the Federal Direct Loan Program, any of those programs. We will not be able to disperse them to your account until the verification process is completed. Check this now, as opposed to 3 days before school starts. We want to make sure that when that bill is due, that everything is ready to pay out for you, that all the boxes are checked. I tell this to students all the time. I do not want you to spend your first semester in college worrying about why your financial aid hasn't paid out. Cross that bridge now so that when you get to college in August, when you get to USI in August, all you have to worry about is going to class and studying and meeting friends and that kind of stuff. You can also check your terms and conditions of your scholarships on your MyUSI. Any merit-based scholarships that you have are going to have renewal criteria, so it's important to familiarize yourself with those as well. And that's what this tab here is about. Know how many hours you need to earn each year. Know what you need to keep your GPA at. Your academic advisor will try and help you with some of this as you register for coursework in the future, but they're trying to download a lot of information to you whenever they meet with you. And it's important that you know the terms and conditions of your scholarships as well. And of course, before you change your schedule, come and see us before you change your schedule. We want to let you know about the impact of any schedule changes on your financial aid. This is kind of the last thing that I want to touch on just real briefly. I know I'm kind of right at my time here. So just real briefly, I wanted to say we do expect an uptick in special circumstance requests just due to COVID-19 and the response to it. If you've had a significant reduction in family income or loss of employment or any of these other things that you see on the screen here, it is possible that your FAFSA, your 2021 FAFSA, may no longer accurately represent your family's current financial strength. And if that's the case, then please just touch base with our office and we'll help you with this process. This is a pretty manual and case-specific process. So please touch base with us if you believe you might qualify based on one of these reasons. So there's our contact information, which we'll have again at the end. So I'm not going to dwell on that. I am just going to pass the baton over to Emily.
Hey guys, I'm from the Bursar's office. My name is Emily, and the Bursar's office is really just like a fancy way of saying we're the billing and payment office. So what our office does is we assess your tuition and fees. We present it through a billing statement, and we take your money. So we'll go through how you can access that information. Any questions about cost or anything, you're more than welcome to contact our office. But just for this session, we're going to be talking about how to access your billing statements, how to enroll in e-refunds, how to access your 298T, and how to enroll in payment plans or pay for your balance. So the system that we use is called TouchNet. And TouchNet is located in your MyUSI. So within the Eagle apps, it's the purple TN icon that you'll see over there. And again, you can create authorized users. You're going to sign up for direct deposits and view your billing statements and payment plans. And then the 298T is the form that you receive usually in January that you'll use to file your taxes and receive a tax credit if you're eligible for that. So creating authorized users, this is probably the second most important thing that I'll go through as creating authorized users. So authorized users is anyone you want to give access to have to be able to view your billing information or be able to pay on your account. It also allows that person to contact our office and ask more specific questions about your account. So if you're not the one who's going to be paying for your tuition and fees, then whoever is going to be doing that needs to have access to view your TouchNet account. We encourage authorized users to use their own username and password rather than the student giving that person access to their MyUSI. And like I said, that also gives them the ability to call and ask more questions. So it does not give that person access to your grades or your schedule or any other information. It's just strictly your billing and payment information and to pay on your account and to access your 1098T. So in some cases, students have more financial aid than what their costs are. Sometimes a student may pay for their tuition and fees or whatnot, and they'll receive, or then they'll drop a class and then they'll be eligible for a refund. We highly encourage students to sign up for e-refunds. It's just direct deposit. It helps expedite getting the funds back to you. Financial aid usually disperses the second week of classes. And so by that time, many of the students who are living on campus are already, maybe needing extra living things such as, laundry detergent, toilet paper, maybe some more school supplies. If you are commuting, maybe you're already needing help with your gas funds or, some food money. So by signing up for a direct deposit, it helps expedite getting those funds to you. So rather than waiting, until maybe the fourth week of classes before you receive your refund check, you sign up for a direct deposit, we can get those funds to you much faster. So we usually say, you know, we only mail checks once a week, but direct deposits we run nearly every day whenever financial aid first disperses until we get through all the refunds. Parents can also sign up for, can also sign up for direct deposit. So if you are taking out a Parent Plus loan and you took out more than what the costs are to help pay for other expenses, then parents can sign up for direct deposit and have those funds directly deposited into their accounts. All right, so your billing statement, like I said, our office is responsible for assessing your tuition and fees. And so around August 3rd is whenever we will be sending your first fall billing statement. Now, billing statements is just a screenshot of what your account information is as of that day that we send it. Whenever we send your billing statement, it'll have all of your charges itemized, and then it'll also have any financial aid that has been authorized. Authorized financial aid means that you've done everything that you need to do to receive your financial aid, and basically you're good to go. You also might see memo aid on your account. Now, sometimes memo aid can mean that you have additional steps to do. So if you see memo aid on your account, it's always good to just double check back to your MyUSI, the self-service app, and make sure that you've completed all the requirements for your financial aid. You know, Caleb talked about signing your master promissory note and doing your insurance counseling. Those are two things that are overlooked a lot, and students are wondering why their financial aid hasn't dispersed because it showed up as pending on their bill. It's because you need to take other action. So if you see that you have memo aid, then just double check on your MyUSI and make sure that you have completed all of your outstanding requirements. Now, some memo aid, there may not be requirements, but just check your MyUSI or talk to the financial aid office. So billing statements are mailed the first of every month, and as long as you're receiving a billing statement, that means that you owe the institution. If you're on a payment plan, you're going to continue to receive a billing statement every month that shows what your next installment is and how much more you have left to pay. But if you're not in a payment plan and you're continuing to receive billing statements from us, it means that you need to do something. You need to take action, whether it's enrolling in a payment plan or complete your financial aid or pay in full. So whenever you receive your billing statement, like I said, it'll have your total cost minus your financial aid, and at the bottom it'll tell you what is due. You're more than welcome to pay that in full. But we also have interest-free payment plans that we really encourage students to enroll in. And so this is probably the most important thing that I want to go over is how our office offers payment plans to help divide your payments into monthly installments. So there's no fee to enroll. So there's no interest. There's only fee if you are late on your payments. But the earlier you sign up, the smaller your payments will be and the longer that you have to pay. We have a payment plan that's open right now, and it's $200 down. Whenever you go to enroll in a payment plan, you will have to sort of estimate your cost. So you can take how many hours you're enrolled in and multiply it by your tuition rates. You know your housing your housing rate, your meal plans that you've chosen. So you just enter that information in and you subtract out your financial aid, and then it'll help you give you an estimate of what your payments will be. It's $200 down, and then you have 5 months to pay, August through December. And then we have another payment plan that will open in August where it's 20% down, and you have 4 months to pay, which would be September through December. So signing up early helps you pay more down and helps you make smaller payments throughout the semester. You can pay online with an e-check, a debit or credit card. There is a fee for using a debit or credit card, so we encourage you to use an e-check, which is where you put in your routing number and bank account number. Be really careful whenever you enter this in. It seems like every year we have more and more students who are going through this step really quickly, and their payments are returned, and then they're stuck with a fee. It's an honest mistake, but just be really careful when you enter in your information, so that way we get it right the first time. And also, if we have to send you money back, it comes to you instead of being rejected, and it takes longer for you to get your refund. We do not take payments over the phone, but we are open in person, so you can come pay in person. We are open Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30, and Friday, 8 to 3:30. So beginning next Monday, you should be able to start seeing your tuition and fees posted on your TouchNet account. Your billing statements won't go out until August 3rd, but you can still log into TouchNet and view your account activity. Housing will feed through later this next week, and meal plans will feed through, and then financial aid will begin to appear on your account. So it will take a little while for all that information to sort of build up in your TouchNet account. So on August 3rd, you should have everything posted on your account and all of your financial aid on your account, and you should have an idea, or you will know what your costs are going to be as of August 3rd. Now, if you charge books to your account, or you charge a laptop, or you change your classes around, then your costs may change. But your account activity will always reflect the most up-to-date information. Due date for fall semester is August 28th, which is also the last day to drop with the full refund. And then for spring semester, we will assess tuition and fees beginning the week of December 14th. We won't be sending out actual billing statements until after we come back from Christmas break. And then the due date is really quickly after that. So, before you leave for finals and you're kind of checked out for a little while, just go onto your TouchNet account and start looking to see what your balance and what your cost is going to be, and any type of outstanding requirements you need for your financial aid. Summer semester, we only have 2 summer semesters this coming summer. And those I understand they're kind of far away, but beginning in April, you can see your bill, and then the due dates are in May and June. Now, in fall 2019, the university began or initiated or launched the financial care team. The financial care team was established to help students who go through financial difficulties. A lot of things can happen. We've seen it this year. We've seen so much happen this year with COVID-19, people losing their jobs. Just a lot of things there are things that can happen that are out of your control and can make paying for your college difficult, or maybe you've lost a job and you need help going through career services to apply for a job, or maybe you need more financial aid than what you've been offered, or maybe you just need help with budgeting and knowing what your options are, your payment options. If any of those cases apply to you, where you find yourself in a difficult financial situation, the university does want to help provide those, or to provide your options to you, and to provide resources or provide direction to resources that are available on campus. This is our website, which is usi.edu/financial care team. I highly encourage you to tell people about this. If you hear a friend or a classmate talk about going through financial stress, tell them, hey, have you heard about the financial care team? Go to usi.edu/financial care team and put in a referral, or you could put a referral in for someone, or you can put a referral in for yourself. And we can help, like I said, point you to the right resources. We don't want you to go through this alone. We understand that college is a huge deal. Cost can be overwhelming. I know a lot of you are anticipating, how much is this really going to cost me? What are we going to do if we don't get enough financial aid to pay for everything? Those are really heavy conversations, and we encourage the students to be involved in those conversations as much as possible, because it is part of their education, and it is part of developing the student and learning responsibility and understanding the value of what their education is. So, have these conversations. They're heavy, like I said. Hopefully, you've been preparing for this, but if you haven't been preparing and you're just coming into this and you're like, wow, we don't know we're starting on square one. Dr. Sean Roby, who's going to be speaking to you after I'm finished, going on and on, will be able to sort of hopefully point you to those right resources. And this is our contact information. We're located on the lower level of the Orr Center, which is just right below the financial aid office. Like I said, our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30, and Friday, 8 to 3:30. We have so much information posted on our website. You're more than, we really encourage you to go there and try to look for, to kind of, see what our tuition and fees are, to see what the billing dates are. If I've talked too fast and you don't know, what I said, it's all on the website. Our email's there, our phones are there. We're open and we're here to help you all through this process. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Roby.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Sean Roby, and I lead the Student Financial Success Center as the Student Financial Success Specialist. I am also a financial care team case manager. The SFSC began in the fall of 2019 as a way for the university to support students who have a gap between their financial resources, including financial aid, and their expenses. Thank you, Caleb. Excellent. The SFSC provides peer mentoring and support services to advance financial literacy and wellness among students, their families, and community members to promote student retention and success. We focus on providing long-term solutions through educational resources and ongoing support to change financial patterns and outcomes among your students. Certainly, the SFSC wants to help your student meet their financial obligations to the university and thereby remain enrolled and achieve their educational goals. But at the same time, we want to equip them with a life skill that will help them well beyond their years at USI. Your student can meet with a peer mentor or myself to go through a current financial snapshot, establish a monthly budget, and learn how to track and align their spending habits with their spending plan. When students meet with us, we see them as more than just students. We see them as clients. Being a client means that we aren't just concerned about schooling. The client's worries become our worries, and we're here to walk with them through any financial situation that they have, not just their financial situation with the university. And best of all, there's no fee for service. We offer more diverse services than just mentoring. Starting this fall, the SFSC will begin offering payment plans to students outside of the standard payment plan options. Our goal is to get people thinking of the SFSC as a place for solutions and support for their financial challenges. Thank you. All right, so you can check out our website homepage for more information about our office and tools to help your student financially. You can find the SFSC website by searching for the Student Financial Success Center in the search bar on USI's homepage and click the first link at the top. Thank you, Caleb. To become a client, your student can simply go to the SFSC homepage and select the Become a Client tab. They then click the link and fill out the form. Once your student completes the Become a Client form, they will receive a follow-up email with instructions for scheduling their virtual initial meeting. Once COVID kind of passes, we'll go back to offering face-to-face coaching. Lastly, I want to thank you for your time. Currently, our virtual office hours are 8:45 to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 8:45 to 2 p.m. on Fridays. We look forward to walking with your student towards a lifetime of financial wellness.
Thank you all. We're going to leave this screen up for a little while in case you want to take a snapshot of it with contact information for all the different areas that were talked about this evening. And while we are doing that, I am going to start our questioning here as well. So first question I think is going to go to Caleb. Actually, there's quite a few here, Caleb, in a row. I won't combine them. We'll do them one at a time. But are there any scholarships USI has recently made available that students can apply for yet?
Scholarships that have been made available through the institution. Not for new incoming students at this point, although I would tell you, if you are looking at numbers as you get your billing statement, as you're looking at your students' financial aid on their MyUSI account, and you have questions, how are we going to figure out the best way to close this gap? There's usually not just one answer, like, oh, here's the magic thing you need to know that pays your bill. It's usually a combination of things. Some of the options that I mentioned, some of the options that the others mentioned. And so please reach out to our office and we'll be able to help you create a strategy as far as financial aid goes for paying for that bill. I do want to mention because I mentioned the scholarships that are available through the admissions process and then filing the FAFSA. Your student can also on their MyUSI account fill out our foundation scholarship application. It looks like a little orange triangle on their MyUSI account. Those funds are primarily designated for returning students, and I usually encourage students to fill that out in October when they fill out their FAFSA for the next year, because a lot of them are based on academic merit and selected by faculty. And obviously, if your student is a new incoming student, they haven't had any of our faculty yet. So a lot of that is used as a way to give additional aid to students who need it, who might be returning students. So it's not that financial aid can't be added to the account, just that the foundation office primarily assists returning students, but we can still help with other strategies as well.
Okay. And Caleb, do you want to just go over a few of those again? We had the question about options if their aid doesn't cover their full tuition.
Sure.
Just name a few of those options so people have some idea of what to call and talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the interest of time here, I'll try and go a little quick, but I want to be thorough as well. So there are a number of what are considered self-help options for that remaining balance. One of the ones that we frequently use is employment for students. So like the federal work study program. And we actually anticipate this year being maybe it even being a little bit of a challenge to expend all of our work study dollars. And so if your student is interested in working on campus, have them reach out to the financial aid office, because that's a good way for students to contribute towards their cost while they're in college. And of course, working on campus, whether it's as in a regular student work job or as a work study student, is beneficial in a number of ways. But obviously working for the university, like we have student workers that work in the financial aid office, we understand that they're students first, right? And that also they work in our office. And so they work in our office, we pay them, they can use those dollars to contribute towards their costs. But also if one of them, comes in and says, hey, I've got a big test coming up tomorrow, I need to not work today, we're gonna be able to be flexible with them on that. Obviously they work at the university. And then as far as student loan options, I mentioned those, but just to go into a little more detail on the limits on them, the student's loan is limited based on their dependency level and dependency status and their grade level. And that slide that I showed that. The Parent Plus loan program is only limited by the cost of attendance budget. So if a parent does a Parent Plus loan, they can then use federal financing up to, and in fact, exceeding the direct cost of the institution. So there's not a limit on that. That would allow the parent to borrow up to, the entirety of the bill. And of course, private loans would work the same way. So those financing options can be used to sort of cover that remaining balance. And how I usually tell students and their families to think about it is, because our payment plans that Emily mentioned are so helpful in breaking that cost into manageable chunks without interest or fees, I usually suggest that students kind of think about it backwards, meaning take your amount that you think you can pay per month and and maybe that amount is $0, but if you can make a contribution, think about what you can afford as a family to do a month, and then add out, use that monthly payment plan, take that total amount, and then take a look at what you need to borrow to cover the rest of that balance. That way you're not over borrowing, right? Say after your financial aid applies, you owe $4,000 after financial aid applies, and you determine that for the next 5 months, you can make a $200 monthly payment. Well, great. Now you only have to borrow $3,000 instead of $4,000 through the student loan programs, right? So thinking about it that way kind of helps to maybe use multiple strategies to sort of take care of that bill.
Okay. Caleb, if students have local scholarships
Mhm.
and they were told that the scholarship, the donors would send the check.
Oh, am I cutting out? Or is that Carmen?
I think Carmen froze.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about outside scholarships while she gets reconnected. So it sounded like that was about outside scholarships that maybe the donor has said that the check has been sent. So sometimes these go to the wrong place and they get routed around, and it takes a little while to get them on the system. So if you have an outside agency that has said they've sent a check and you just don't see it reflected on the student's account yet, if it's been within the last couple of weeks, it's entirely possible that it's just in processing somewhere. If you're needing to know where to send an outside scholarship check, those go to the bursar's office and they process them, and then they come up to financial aid and we build them into the student's financial aid package. Additionally, while that check is in processing, students can go onto their MyUSI account using that link that was earlier in the slides about how to do different things on your MyUSI account. And they can go ahead and report that outside scholarship. Say, hey, I'm going to receive $500 from the Vanderburgh County Underwater Basket Weaving Foundation. Okay, great. So we build that in to their financial aid package so that there's no surprises later on when we get that check. It's already in their financial aid package and everything has adjusted to that scholarship. But they do go to the bursar's office first and then come up to the financial aid office.
All right, great. Thank you, Caleb. I would just, as we're looking for some more questions that are coming through, Toby or Mike, so these are two of our students. Would either one of you want to talk about how you've been able to work with the financial aid office with either a working part-time job, taking out loans, anything about your experience?
I can. No, go ahead. No.
All right, Toby, take it away.
Okay, so I know personally, I've had some issues with my financial things coming through, like there are just some problems, and they're really easy to get a hold of, and they're very helpful, and they're just there to really work with you, and it makes it like, even though it's stressful during the time, like when you get an email saying there's something wrong with your payment, you're like, oh my gosh, you're freaking out. I know that's happened to me a few times. But they're just really helpful, and let you know that you're important, and they work as hard as they can, as quickly as they can to get that problem fixed. And so that's just a really nice thing about all the financial team, is that they're just really helpful and really friendly and nice to get along with.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I have an on-campus job that I use to kind of help pay for a lot of my schooling. So I work in one of the offices on campus. So that's a really easy way to really help and get some finances going while you're here in school. And so, yeah, that's one big thing that I always try to do. Get us.
All right. Caleb, coming back to you. So with the outside scholarship, what if they pay the student directly? What does the student do, or what should they do with the scholarship?
That's a great question. So with outside scholarships, the financial aid office does need to know about them. And often when a student receives a scholarship, it'll be made out to the university, or they'll get a check from the donating organization, and it'll be made out to the student and the university, and we actually need to sign that check. And so again, that needs to go to the bursar's office so that they can start that process of receiving that payment to put it towards the student's account. But as I mentioned earlier, the student can report those outside scholarships on their MyUSI account. And if the student just receives a scholarship check with their name on it, they can just deposit that check and then make a payment, from their own personal checking account or whatever, and just report that scholarship on their MyUSI account.
Thank you. We did have a technical difficulty, so if you did just post a question and your question hasn't been answered yet, please repost it. and we will be answering those as soon as we can.
Okay, I do remember a few of them. Sorry, I am happened to be on campus and all of my network went out. So anyway, so I do know that there was a question, Caleb, about what an option a student has if their parents were denied the Parent Plus loan.
Yes, I should have mentioned that earlier when I was talking about loans. Sorry. So if a parent applies for the Plus loan, the key difference in the Plus loan and the student's direct loan, in addition to the fact that the parent's applying for it instead of the student, is that the Parent Plus loan is a credit-based loan. There's a credit worthiness check when the parent fills out the Plus loan application. Now, if you're a little nervous about that, I will say that typically the Parent Plus loan program, that credit worthiness check is a little bit more forgiving than going through just private financing through a bank. So don't just automatically write off that, you won't get it. However, if a parent would happen to be denied, or if a parent cannot apply for a Plus loan because they can't take out a new line of credit due to an act of bankruptcy or some other reason, then it actually increases what the student can borrow. So you can reference the screen that I showed earlier about student loan limits. Actually, maybe I can go back to it real quick. Let me see. While I'm talking, I'll go back real quick. So when a student has a parent that is denied a Plus loan, it moves them from the dependent loan limit, which is that $5,500, $6,500, and $7,500 that you see there, and it temporarily moves them over to that right-hand column, the independent loan limit. So even though the student is still a dependent student for FAFSA purposes, they temporarily have access to the independent student loan limits if there's an active Parent Plus denial on their account. So the first-time freshman would have $9,500 in eligibility, and so on and so forth. So it does increase when a parent fills out a Plus loan application with an approval or a denial, it results in additional loan funds.
Okay. Question on, have legacy scholarships been awarded and announced? Do you know that, Caleb, or is that a foundation?
That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure. I believe that they have been awarded, and I'm not the one in our office that actually manages that particular fund. So I can't say with certainty that they're on the account, but I believe they've been awarded. I would just say maybe just drop us an email there at finaid@usi.edu or call that 812-464-1767. We're available Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and we can let you know the answer to an account-specific question like that.
Okay. Where can the students see if they received a merit-based scholarship? Because when they visited, they said that they received some money off their tuition based on GPA and SAT, ACT. Is that in MyUSI?
It would be, yeah. All of the financial aid is listed right there together on the student's MyUSI account. So the primary merit-based scholarship fund for new incoming students is the RICE, the David L. Rice Merit Scholarship, which is based on the student's high school GPA and standardized test score. There are renewal criteria with that award. You have to maintain a certain GPA based on the level of the award that you have. So you definitely want to check with the financial aid office and or your MyUSI account to make sure that that you know the renewal criteria for your RICE scholarship. But it should be listed right there with the rest of your federal and state award, anything else that you receive on your MyUSI account. A quick note on the RICE Merit Scholarship: it is possible for students to have increased that award. Maybe when you initially applied to the university back in September of 2019 or whatever, you were given one level of the award, but then maybe you retook the SAT or the ACT, or your GPA, your cumulative GPA went up, something like that. Your award could increase based on that. And maybe you already even knew that and you were planning on it. Double check your MyUSI account. We do the initial postings of the merit-based scholarships through a batch posting process, but any updates to the awards are done manually by our office. And so we want to make sure we've got the accurate amount on there. So double check your award and make sure that it's what you were expecting to receive.
Okay. And I do know that if you're wondering what you would be qualified for, on the admissions website, you can see the RICE scholarship and the criteria. It's There's no real guessing about it. There's a chart that tells you exactly what it is.
That's right. Yes.
So where does a student get their username for FAFSA login for the student loan? Or, yeah.
Okay.
Get
So
username for FSA login for student loan.
yes. So your FSA ID is what you used to fill out the FAFSA. So every person that signed the FAFSA, that means the student who filled out the FAFSA, right? The student filled out the FAFSA, not mom and dad. Okay, so it doesn't matter. They can help. But if the student has an FSA ID because they fill out the FAFSA and sign the FAFSA, and then if it's a dependent student who has a parent who would have signed the FAFSA, then the parent also has an FSA ID. They would be separate. The FSA ID is linked to the user's social security number. So it is not possible for the parent and student to have the same FSA ID. If you're not sure what your FSA ID is, you can reset it. Typically, it's linked to whatever your most common email address is. Although I will say one of the common mistakes we see in our office is mom and dad went to fill out the FAFSA and set up the student's FSA ID and used mom and dad's email to set up the student's FSA ID. And then when they went to set up mom/dad's FSA ID, they couldn't use their email because the student's has it attached to it. So it gets a little confusing. We can help you with that process if you don't know what your FSA ID is. And we can kind of help you sort that out. But that's what it is. Your FSA ID is what you use to sign the FAFSA. And it's also what you'll use to log in at studentaid.gov to complete your master promissory note and your entrance counseling. You're actually accepting your students' loans. For you to accept your loans, you don't use your FSA ID, you log into your MyUSI account. So you'll accept your loan initially on your MyUSI account and then complete those supplementary documents at studentaid.gov by using your FSA ID.
Emily, I believe this question's for you. Does the 1099 report go for calendar year or academic year?
The 1098 is by calendar year. It's based off of payments made towards eligible cost. So not all costs are eligible. So every payment that you make may not reflect on the 1098T because it's going to be, like I said, based off of how those payments are applied and the cost or to what charges those are applied to. Housing, meal plans, books, study abroad, those credits are not going to appear on your 1098T. But it is based off of calendar year and it's based off of, so in box 1, I believe you have your eligible charges or payments made towards eligible charges. And then you have in, I believe box 5, you have your scholarships and grants. So if your scholarships and grants are more than your box 1, then you're not eligible for a 1098T either.
Okay. Caleb, we're going to go back to you, and I'm not sure if you're going to know this, but has the USI Alumni Association scholarships been awarded?
That's another great question that I don't have an answer to without sitting in front of my computer at work. I'm on my laptop at home, so I can't pull that up right now. I would assume that all of that has been awarded. We batch posted a lot of foundation aid today, and it was, my understanding was, this kind of the last, not the last, but getting near the end of a lot of that stuff. And so I think everything has been awarded, but I can't say for certain. Again, if your student checks their account and they don't see something there that they expected to, or if they just applied for something and they're curious as to the results of it, just touch base with our office, drop us an email or give us a call. That's what we're here for. So just call in and we'll pull up students. We will pull up your account specifically and check on it and make sure that we get that answer to you.
So somewhat related, can a student apply for a legacy scholarship as a second-year student? And then if so, can an aunt qualify them? So I don't know the qualifications for the legacy scholarship.
Yeah, all of these great questions that are actually foundation questions. They sound like they would be the financial aid office, right? That's another one that I'll need to answer through an email. If somebody wants to, whoever asked that question, drop us an email and we'll we'll send you a written response. I'll have to double check with the foundation office and make sure I know all the qualifications on that. Just to give you guys an explanation for some of these questions. So the USI Foundation office provides funding for USI students that are from gifts to the institution through, from alumni and friends of the university, organizations that give money to the university for specific scholarship funds. So like maybe they want to specifically fund students that are children of alumni, or maybe they graduated from USI and they studied, psychology, and now they want to give back money to students that are in the psychology department. So that's where a lot of those different qualifications come from for foundation aid, and all of those are processed through the foundation office. They're the ones that make all of those awards and manage all of the criteria for those, which is why I don't always know the answer to all of those questions. But we do work very closely with the foundation office, because obviously when they award those funds, they come through our office. And so I can definitely find out the answers for those if you would drop us an email.
Okay. This question, so what would a student's financial plan look like if they're an upcoming freshman, but a family member works at USI?
So if the student is receiving a partial fee waiver or full fee waiver for any reason, we would post that to their account. And then anytime we apply fee waivers and or aid to a student's account, we do it in a way that's most beneficial for the student. Okay, so we're going to make sure that your student or students, we're going to make sure that you get the most aid possible. And so if something is a fee waiver, like you're a child of an employee, then that comes off first, because we don't want to use scholarship dollars that you could potentially save for later if you have a fee waiver based on a parent's employment. That's just an automatic fee waiver, right? Or another example that probably would apply to more students in this chat than just children of employees would be state aid and federal aid. So state aid, Indiana state aid, the Indiana Higher Education Award, 21st Century Scholarships, so on and so forth, are restricted to paying towards just tuition. They can only pay towards tuition. Where federal Pell Grants, which is need-based aid through the federal government, is not restricted. It can apply to any charges on the student's account, and in fact even be refunded to the student if it goes in excess of the direct cost. So if a student receives the Indiana Higher Education Award and a Pell Grant, we're going to apply the Indiana Higher Education Award to their tuition before we apply the Pell Grant, in order to allow the Pell Grant to apply to other fees. And that's just one example, but you can extrapolate that out to any type of aid the student would receive. We'll just apply it in the order that's most beneficial for the student.
Okay. Emily, we're going to go to you. Can you talk about options to pay with a 529 account?
Yeah, many of our students who have a 529 or families who have a 529 tend to be from the state of Indiana. From what I understand, most places, most investments in the state of Indiana both will require you to log in to their website or to their portal, and you indicate how much you're wanting to withdraw, the university's name, the address, and then we prefer that you put the student's name and student ID number on the check so we know how to properly apply it. Now, some 529s from like different states or they may require us to bill rather than you draw down the funds. But most of the time the checks are sent directly to our office and we apply them directly to the account. So it just depends on how much you managed to save in the 529. If you want to use part of it each semester and then put the rest in a payment plan, or if the student has scholarships and you're waiting for those to go through, before you withdraw those funds, because I know that it kind of gets a little hairy whenever you get refunds from 529s. But they do show up as a check on your account, and they will show up on your 1098-T. But I know that you also get some type of tax document from the 529 too, that for your taxes, that I don't know much about, but generally they're just sent directly to the university. I hope that answers that question.
We had another question that I remember from earlier because I had read all of them. So the question was, where do they find out what meal plan they signed up for? Because they don't remember from when they signed up for housing. And I don't know if there's anywhere online they can see that. Do you guys know? If not, I usually tell them just call the food service office, USI Dining office, and they can look that up for them. But
if you email, if you email food meal plans at usi.edu and provide your ID number and just ask what meal plan that you have signed up for, they should be able to tell you which one you signed up for. You can also change your email or change your meal plan through that email.
Yeah, and you have up until the day before classes start to change your meal plan. So up until if it's not the meal plan you want, you have until August 23rd to change that. If you don't, by August 23rd, you need to stay with that meal plan until the end of the semester. So other questions that people have that we've either missed because of me losing internet connection, or you've had really good questions this evening, and we'd love to answer more if you have any other questions. I do want to give our students an opportunity to maybe speak, and I don't know if any one of them have had jobs on campus besides being an Amigo, but if they have, can you talk about that process in case you're someone who wants to try to find a job?
A little while I did talk about it a little bit while you were gone, but I do have a on-campus position with the University of office. So like I do stuff and administrative works with pay through from them, and that help with my paying for school, and my bills and stuff.
Okay. Sorry, wasn't sure what was covered when I was gone. So another question. A parent already has a Parent Plus loan for another child that's still in college. Can an additional loan be added to that Plus loan, or should the parent start a new Plus loan?
Yeah, they would have to do a new Plus loan for that student. Now, that said, any Plus loan that you do, so a Plus loan is done every year for every student. So it's going to seem like it's a lot of loans, but they're all assigned to the same loan servicer. Okay, so every borrower has a loan servicer that all their loans are assigned to. And so it's not like when those loans go into repayment, parent borrowers, if you have to do a loan for each child, you're not going to have to go to 2 different places to make 2 different payments. It's all going to be in one place. But you do have to do a separate loan application for each student that you're wanting to borrow for.
Okay. We are over our time, but we can take 1 or 2 more questions if you have any. If you don't, we will close for the evening. Just give people a couple minutes here, or a minute to ask any other questions they may have. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions come in. So we really, if you do have questions, be sure to reach out to any of the individuals on here or orientation@usi.edu. We'd be happy to answer those, forward them to the right department. I do have a poll I want to put up. If you can just answer the 2 questions on there, we'd love to get your feedback on our sessions. We will be, like I said, this has been recorded, and we will make it available as soon as we can on the website. If you are interested in some of the previous sessions that we've done or upcoming sessions and you're not able to attend them, all of these are on the orientation website. It's just usi.edu orientation. And then there's some tabs for virtual meetings and programs. They're there, but they're also under a tab for resources. And there's also some additional videos under the resource one that departments have just made where we're not doing a session for, but has some information for you. So we would love for you to check out those as well. So we did get a question in, when will freshmen be able to sign up for an on-campus job? And I would tell you that there are places that are hiring now. So if your student is interested in an on-campus job, I would have them start reaching out to departments. If they're looking for work study, reach out to Caleb. but there are departments who are hiring because they want to have their staff in place by fall. So great place to start is Career Services. John has put up a link in the chat feature for that. It's also contacting those areas specifically that they're interested in working. I do know a big employer on campus is our USI Dining, which is Sodexo. That is it's a vendor that we use, but I know they hire a lot of students to work in the food service areas and setup crews. So I know they're always hiring. Recreation Fitness and Wellness Center usually hires quite a few students.
Library is also another good one.
Yes, the library. I do know that, I'm trying to think of other ones I've heard of. The computer labs usually have student positions open. So lots of different places on campus. They just need to reach out to them and also check with Career Services for listings that they may have. So we really appreciate your time this evening, and thank you all for coming.